There it is. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the June Gender Equity Commission public meeting. I just want to give a quick shout out celebration for Pride Month and the city's LGBTQIA+ commission and all of the organizations out there who are doing great work to spread awareness and a reminder that LGBTQIA+ rights are human rights. And we at the commission are an intersectional group. And so we celebrate and congratulate you on the incredible work and all the great activities going on this month. We want to encourage everyone to check out their calendars, check out their local organizations, citywide organizations, state organizations, be intentional about educating yourself. And yeah, happy June, everyone. So moving forward, we're going to go ahead and just do a quick roll call on everyone who is here to formally get you on the record. So I'm just going to go in order of who I see, and please say here just for the record if you're able to. Commissioner Hanson.
Here.
Great. Commissioner Ramey.
Here.
Commissioner Newman.
Here.
Commissioner Hall.
Here.
Commissioner Manuel.
Here.
Commissioner Corbel.
Here.
Commissioner Overton.
Here.
Commissioner Hale.
Here.
Commissioner Coffey.
Here.
And Commissioner Schultz.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We know that Commissioner Higginbotham and Commissioner Davidson are not able to join us, and Commissioner Gross is not able to join us today. Is there anyone? Oh, and Commissioner Walker. But we thank them for their continued service, and we will see them soon. Is there anyone that I missed? Commissioner Hall. Have we accounted for everyone who's present and not present? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, and so I want to thank our executive director and our secretary for gathering and putting out the minutes from April and May. And hopefully everyone has had a chance to review. Our CEDAW representative, Commissioner Hale, I know has some information for us, but we're not going to include that in this part of the consent agenda, so we don't need to vote on that. But we are voting as the consent agenda on those 2 minutes. I do not believe we have any other committee reports. And so I would like a motion to approve the consent agenda package, which consists of the minutes from April and May.
This is Commissioner Manuel. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Would anyone like to second?
Jaleesa, I'll second.
Wonderful, thank you. All right. Everyone in favor? Okay,
Aye.
Great.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, the consent agenda has been approved. And so we're going to move swiftly on. So our executive director does have some information to share, and also what is not on the agenda. And this is completely my mistake. I have asked Commissioner Hale to begin sharing any updates that we have from the work that our local CEDAW chapter is engaging in. And I forgot to add that to today's agenda. And so our executive director has 5 minutes, and then we're going to give Commissioner Hale a few minutes to give us some important updates from our local CEDAW chapter. So a new report from our executive director.
Hi, thank you. And I wanted to remind everyone about my backdrop, which is an animated version of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And since the chair just mentioned the CEDAW group, that the Gender Equity Commission is really emerges out of human rights focus. The city is going to be doing its second voluntary local review this summer, and really trying to make sure that we're thinking about human rights, which means when we talk about gender equity, that's all humans, right? So we know that there's a lot of discrimination faced historically by women, by people who are gender non-binary, who we're really still trying to figure out how to adjust our society so we're not excluding or discriminating or stigmatizing people based on gender. But I just think it's worth keeping an eye on how the city tracks the work that we do in terms of human rights. What are the ways that we're increasing opportunity and access to those rights? The other things that I'm working on, you've heard me talk about this before, but since so much of the Gender Equity Commission's focus is on data, and that is what the gender analysis is. And so, you know, what we might call the first phase was the PIGR report, Pittsburgh's Inequality Across Gender and Race. And that was basically an environmental scan. When you just look at publicly available data and you disaggregate it, what patterns do you see? We need to work on internal data about employment and other practices and gender equity. And we also want to continue with the community engagement. And so we're talking about trying to tell a story with the data on Earth Time, which you may have heard me talk about before, basically to take what data we have about our city and intersections of inequality. For instance, we're trying to figure out how to tell a story about gender intersecting with disability and race in the city, and what kind of patterns we can see, and to try and peg those to sustainable development goals, really especially focusing on end poverty, which the end poverty piece ties in with our workforce equity initiative that prior to COVID and exacerbated by COVID are all of these economic hardships that especially women and women who are heads of households face, because 70% of families headed by single women are living in poverty in our city. And so there's a direct link. With the Workforce Equity Initiative, as the chair mentioned, we are continuing to put the pieces together, figure out whether it's a virtual meeting or in-person meeting of employers locally who want to commit with the Gender Equity Commission in the city of Pittsburgh to workforce equity processes and policies so that we can really uplift the most vulnerable, which especially the impact on Black communities and Black women is something that we're so focused on. So we had the third workshop, as Commissioner Manuel mentioned, the attendance, because of COVID, because of scheduling, because of a lot of different things, we have not been able to really advertise or do as much outreach as we wanted. And we're experimenting with when is a good time for a lot of people. How can we actually really reach people who maybe aren't as likely to get an email notice about a training online for salary negotiation to close the gender wage gap? So for everyone, especially those who are newer, part of the AEW salary negotiations, I've now witnessed and participated in several of them, so I can speak more from experience than before, that they're really professional development seminars. So first, I think they're for everybody. And anyone right now who's struggling, and everyone pretty much is, you know, either losing jobs, seeking promotions, all of the different ways in which inequity shows up in the workforce. So the AUW Work Smart trainings, we're trying to pick the day for July. I will get to that to you as soon as possible. And then in August, before Dami finishes her fellowship, she will give me a communications proposal for the rest of the year. So I'm hoping by August, I can say to you, here's the schedule for the rest of the year. Perhaps different commissioners want to participate. I certainly encourage you all to check it out just yourself, because I learned a lot. So I think there's a lot to learn there. And then it ends with really thinking, how can I self-advocate in the workforce? And that's especially helpful for women with the information about the different ways that gender inequity shows up. So I'll let you know as soon as we have a July date, and then hopefully we'll have at least one a month, if not more. We'll be thinking about whether to have them in person or virtual. The Workforce Equity Committee, when they meet, is going to give me some, you know, some idea of what they think is best. But I'm really excited because I do think we have a lot of opportunity here to reach people and to really provide them with something valuable that is going to help them as individuals, but then also be helping with our trying to change the systems that leave so many people feeling inequitable. And let me know at any time if you have any questions. We have a list of about a half a dozen people right now who have groups and partners who work on gender equity in the city who have expressed interest in partnering, maybe hosting, bringing in their audiences. So I'm starting the process, and I'm hoping especially some prominent organizations that have worked on gender equity in the city for a long time, that they will partner with us. So all of that is a little slower coming together than I'd like, but I'd like to share that with you all soon. And that's, I think, the Workforce Equity initiative is the primary focus of things.
Thank you so much, Anu. And before we move on to Commissioner Hale's information, I just want to point out that as a commission, we're being very intentional about working with community partners. And so we know that those identified partners will certainly help us to identify the ways of how to best reach out to their folks. And this is why this was always intended to be a community-focused effort. Because we know the people on the ground who are doing this incredible work. And so thank you for your efforts. And, you know, the GEC, we see ourselves as facilitators and conveners. We know that our community leaders are the ones who know how best to reach folks. And remember, the city of Pittsburgh is sponsoring this training. So this is for our citizens to self-advocate and to have one way of ending, of helping to end gender-based discrimination in the workplace and wages. And so thank you, Commissioner Hale. We're very excited to have the CEDAW report as part of our agenda. So I'm very much looking forward to what you have to share, and I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Chair Nechar. I appreciate it. So my report is based on the work that the Pittsburgh and Allegheny County for CEDAW grassroots community group has been working on recently. We are continuing to work on a draft gender equity regulation for Allegheny County. This would be similar to the ordinance that we brought to the city of Pittsburgh that created the Gender Equity Commission that we are all a part of. We are working on an update to our website, which I can send around for the minutes, but it's located at pgh4 CEDAW.org. Trying to make it more contemporary, update it. And in September, we plan to have a session to prioritize our activities for the following year. So now we're working on inputs for that process, some of which I've discussed with you, Chair Nechar. We will be co-hosting the annual Human Rights Cookout on Sunday, August 29th. And past co-hosts include the City Commission on Human Relations, Pittsburghers for Public Transit, the Pittsburgh Human Rights Working Group, and Casa San Jose. And lastly, some of our members of the Pittsburgh and Allegheny for CEDAW group are providing public comments on the proposed Allegheny County paid sick days regulation. And I'm also happy to share the link for registering for that or other information as a follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We lost our executive director for a second, but what I will do, Commissioner Hale, is if you could send an email to our executive director and copy me on that with the links, and what we can do is put them up on our website. So first of all, thank you for spelling it out for people who are with us now. And then what we'll do is we'll make sure that the links that you mentioned are on our website, and I will ask executive director to assist us with that and share that out. Yeah, that was great. Thank you. And then also, please let us know if there's any way that we can support. You know, if you know, we can support, or you know, anything that we can do to kind of help and assist with Allegheny County's efforts or your efforts to bring this to Allegheny County. We know that Pittsburgh itself doesn't cover because of our second-class city status. And so we know that to make sure that the work that we're doing is really impacting the region in an intentional way, that it would be huge. for us to have Allegheny County on board and with work like this and even if future partnerships and collaborations. And so please let us know. I know that there are some commissioners who would love the opportunity to, I won't name any names, but I know for a fact that there's a handful of people and of course, people who have expertise, who have been leaders with like the commission and chairs and committee chairs who would be awesome assets. So, let us know any way that any of us can help with that.
Absolutely. We're with the county ordinance, we are working on a draft, and the stage we're at right now is that we're working on getting a meeting with the commissioner who is supportive of this regulation to get feedback in terms of what exactly can be included in the powers of a county regulation for our county, to make sure that we don't include things in proposed law that wouldn't work. And that's the stage we're at. I think it would be marvelous if anyone in this body is interested in reviewing a further along version of this draft. We would welcome that.
So I have a question for commissioners. And again, we're trying to be intentional about the work we do. And I feel like this work is, I think it's fair to say it's related to our work. And so I would like a consideration, so Commissioner Hale, do you think it would be beneficial for there to be a convening of members who perhaps would like to meet to discuss? Do you think that would be beneficial and could actually help to move anything forward? Is my question to you.
We would welcome that.
And so, so here's my question to commissioners. Does it make sense to have an ad hoc committee to just help, or should we just have people volunteer to come to an initial meeting to see how things go? And then if we need to have a formation of a committee, we do so. Do you think Commissioner Hale, just inviting commissioners to a meeting to start out would be a good idea? Or to a meeting to review documents? What do you think would be best? What would be most helpful for you? Do you think just an initial meeting just to review documents, or commissioners to come to a meeting?
For me, if time permits, I would rather go to the meeting. Sometimes you can get a little bit more out of the meeting versus just reading the document. But that's just me, my opinion. Just depending on the time and so forth of the meeting. And if there's enough advance notice, that way we can place it on our respective calendars to make sure that we attend.
I could, if it wouldn't, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Judy. I was just agreeing with Janet. That would work best for me as well.
I could forward on the next, we have a committee working on the draft ordinance. I could, when we schedule the next committee meeting for that, I could inform everyone on the commission of that. I'm seeing lots of heads nodding. I will do that as my action item to inform you of our next subcommittee meeting to work on that. And I will endeavor to give as much advance notice as I am able to do.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Hale. This is very exciting. I appreciate it. So it didn't take long for us to get more things to do, but no, this is awesome. So again, anything that we can do to support this is huge. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the opportunity and the partnership and the important work that you will have continued to do. So thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Hale before we move on to our next agenda item? And I'm sure if no one has anything now, if they comes up, as with any of us, you all can email her directly. Thank you. I appreciate it. And in the future, I know it's tough, but if you're able to, if there's anything big that you want us to review, we'll try to support you in getting some kind of report out to everyone ahead of a meeting. But no, I really appreciate you bringing all the things that you're doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me a few moments for this brief update. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I don't have any new business. Is there anything anyone would like to bring forward at this time? Anything important that we should know about? Nothing was brought to me, but we have just a couple of minutes, and so I wanted to offer that before we move on to our presentation from Mr. Henry Pyatt of the Mayor's Office. Is he with us by any chance? Anu, is Henry with us?
I think I can't, sorry, I don't see Henry. David would be able to confirm. I did confirm with him just earlier today, so I hope he's trying to log on right now.
Thank you. Is he perhaps in the waiting room?
No, he is not.
Okay, he is not. All right. Well, hopefully he joins us today. I know we are very eager to hear from him and the incredible work that he has been doing in the mayor's office. Is Jordan by chance with us? I know that there are some policy updates that Jordan has for us.
No, she is not either.
The mayor's office called a staff meeting for right now. So Jordan will be with us. I'm sorry. And given what Janet was saying, or Director Manuel was saying earlier, yes. So she did tell me she would be here as soon as she could possibly be. So it started at 4.
Okay, and Jordan wasn't planning on speaking until later, so that is perfectly fine.
And I will check in with Henry just to see if he's having tech difficulties and try and facilitate him being.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate it. We know that with technology, it can be anything. As with me earlier, I couldn't hear anybody and didn't know it, so. All right, well. Yes, Commissioner Manuel.
Madam Chair, I know that you stated earlier that it is Pride Month, but also note that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and also the city of Pittsburgh and other cities throughout the world, it will be celebrating on this Friday, Juneteenth.
Yes,
As we
thank
know
you.
that it is going to be on Saturday, but due to it being on a Saturday, the celebration will be held on Friday. So I think it's a good opportunity for everyone just to educate themselves on it and celebrate it. It's a celebration for all, not just for some. And it's just a beautiful thing just to see how it has been enacted throughout a lot of cities and states, as well as federal as a holiday. Just wanted to mention that. And
So
that there
I
are
appreciate
activities
that.
planned. There are activities planned starting on Friday throughout the weekend.
Thank you. So I appreciate that. And I'm grateful to you for bringing that forward. It is an extremely important holiday and celebration that, as you stated, the entire nation should celebrate. It is, I don't know, Dr. Emanuel, if you know the history and wanted to share. I'm happy to share a little bit myself, but Juneteenth is the day that all enslaved Black people in America were actually freed. So we know that the Civil War ended on April 9th, 1865, I believe. However, word didn't get out to everybody.
2 years later.
And there are individuals who were aware that the war ended and people were emancipated and allowed their enslaved individuals to continue to be enslaved for an additional 2 months. So that is why we celebrate Juneteenth, because it's the day that everyone was actually emancipated and freed, where enslaved individuals in Texas got word. And so that is why we celebrate. But it is a truly a day to celebrate freedom and human rights and civility and human dignity and for all people. So very important day. Thank you so much for bringing that. And I do see that Jordan is with us. So Jordan, if you are okay, hi, welcome. Mr. Pyatt's not able to be with us yet, but we heard there's a big staff meeting happening. So it is fine. Are you ready to share by chance?
Absolutely.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Happy June. I'm glad to hear people talking about Juneteenth because it's coming up. I only have one very, very brief update, and it is about an executive order that is going to be passed soon. But I wanted to make the commission aware because it is very important, and it will likely be, I don't want to say implemented, but enforced on the city level. And I'm trying to find this document so that I can get some talking points. So we are planning on doing an in-person signing ceremony actually for a youth bullying prevention executive order. Very important, especially during Pride Month when we know the experiences of LGBTQI+ youth, as well as Black and Brown youth across the country. Bullying is something that they experience for a variety of reasons. So we are planning on doing an in-person ceremony. We do not have a date or a location yet, but we are planning on doing it probably at one of the city's recreation centers. And what it will do is allow Parks and Rec to create and enforce kind of like a youth bullying prevention policy to protect our kids. So that is my one update. As soon as I get more information about where, when, I will pass that information along, but very excited to kind of announce it to some of our commissioners. I spoke to the LGBTQIA+ commission about this, and I'm also going to inform them tomorrow because I also serve as their liaison, and I'm sure they're going to be excited to hear about this. But again, the timing is very important. It is summer. We know a lot of children are dealing with our youth services across the city, and so this is a very, very large step in just improving quality of life for youth in the city. So yeah, that is my one update. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer? I feel like I haven't seen everyone in a while.
I know, it's good to see you. First of all, thank you. And, I want to bring in, I know a lot of advocates in these various spaces are also, not just the LGBTQIA+ community and Black and Brown. I also know that many of the people who are human rights leaders in those specific spaces also bring the intersection of disability and youth who are
Absolutely.
disabled. And so we know that's huge too, in terms of impact and targets of bullying. But I really appreciate the intersectional way that you presented this, that we know that, being a member of a socially marginalized identity has a huge impact on being a target of bullying. So I really appreciate the framing of it. So commissioners, the only question I have is, do you know if there's any sponsors or co-sponsors or public supporters of this yet? I know it hasn't come out yet. That's the only question I had for you.
It's pretty much just been our office and Parks and Rec looking at this. But I'm sure that when this comes out, we will probably rally a little bit of support from other community organizations. We always try our best to tag in community partners because we understand that they play a very vital role in enforcing a lot of these policies, and they know best about their respective communities. So we always try to meet with, talk to, partner with people who are already doing this existing work, because we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to continue the work that's already being done by the community. So this was very much one of those initiatives where we felt that this was kind of necessary to implement and enforce. Yes, Director Manuel.
Jordan, and I think it's a great thing to do. And Madam Chair had taken one of my questions that was, who else are you partnering with? And I'm thinking specifically Pittsburgh Public Schools. And will this focus, it's a good time to roll it out during this month, but then is there also talk of extending it throughout the school year as children get ready to come back in person? As well as them still doing, work online, et cetera. Has there been any conversation regarding that with the Pittsburgh Public Schools?
So short answer is no, just because PPS is typically something that, it's a body that the county usually works with. And so we have very little control over PPS's policies because the Board of Education is what really, as you know, shapes, education policy.
But I was thinking just from a partnership standpoint, because this is also one of their focuses.
Absolutely. I will take that back to my coworkers because I think it's a great idea and will be necessary as we deal with the inequities of the pandemic and bring kids back into an educational space. That is going to have to be addressed. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Yes. Hi, Jessie.
Hey, Jordan.
How are you?
I'm so glad you're working on this. And I wonder if you want to talk about any of the ways in which this might address some of the ways we know that girls are particularly subject to bullying and gender-based violence. And, you know, this is really a space around gender-based violence prevention. So important. And I'm thinking, as Director Manuel just pointed out, right, the Pittsburgh Public Schools have been thinking about this as a particularly gendered space to work in as well, because of the ways that girls experience comments about their bodies, things that, you know, are done to their bodies as part of bullying. So I'm just wondering, I don't know if this is really explicit in the way this is getting rolled out, but it's a really robust area for us. So I'm really grateful to you for bringing it forward. But is there anything else you can share with us, you know, particularly around the ways that we can protect girls?
I think that's an excellent point. I think as we talk about bullying and the multitude of issues that youth face in educational spaces and recreational spaces, we know that gender diverse individuals face a series of attacks, bullying, not just by other youth, but also by and from policies that are created in these spaces, whether it's dress code policies that are unfairly implemented and enforced. Gender plays a very large role in who experiences a lot of these attacks. We do address that in the body of the executive order, but I think that that is a very important talking point to kind of address that gender diverse people, because again, it isn't just youth who identify as women, it's also youth who identify outside of the binary, who experience horrific violence, whether it's verbal or physical, from other children who have learned biases and ignorance from their own households, because that's the reality of where they're learning it from, unfortunately. So again, another thing that I will take back to my coworkers, but we have certainly absolutely considered that gender is a very large determinant of who experiences bullying. Like that's just the reality of America, if you will.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramey, for raising that. And I see Commissioner Hall. I just wanted to real quick, and Commissioner Hall, I hope this is not what you were going to ask, but I know that, and if you haven't already looked or considered, we know that Glenn's Girls has done extensive work around Black girls specifically and how they experience the world, you know, the adultification of Black girls, and how they experience the world, even walking down the street, how they're treated in school. So Jordan, a lot of the touch points that you've already mentioned, but we know that they've done extensive work, research, community engagement on this very topic. And so again, timely, important. You spoke about community leaders who are doing this work, and there are many more. And we happen to know that that's just one. To Commissioner Ramey's point about, you know, gender and race and all the other things. I will step back now. I know Commissioner Hall had a question or comment.
I guess it's more of a comment and a thank you to include the community organizations, because in reality, they've been doing that work for a really, really long time. And, you know, as our chair just spoke about Gwen's Girls, I mean, PAR, Women's Center, and I mean, most of those community groups have been doing that. And I think some people forget that. And I really want to say, you know, thanks for remembering those organizations. And as you said, kind of partnering with them and highlighting those, or when there's a signing, recognizing those groups, because again, they've been doing this for years.
Absolutely. It's funny, someone mentioned Gwen's Girls. I've known Dr. Elliott since I was a sophomore at Pitt. So, and I work with their girls weekly to talk about political education. So they're an organization that I have a great deal of respect for, because there are people doing the work, and our job is to really support them in that work. So
Right, Boys and Girls Clubs, you know,
Absolutely.
those kinds of organizations have been in the trenches, so to speak,
Absolutely.
educating about that for years, and not everybody may know that.
Thank you. And I just want to say, you know, the importance of our leadership highlighting this cause, because so often our community leaders are entrenched in it. And, you know, making sure that our mayor's office is not only recognizing them, to your point, Commissioner Hall, and, you know, by having this executive order, the importance of how it highlights the issue. And so I think that it's fair to say, again, Jordan, thank you. Continue to keep us posted. And I know that you said you would, and also to any way that we can support that the work, the efforts, make recommendations, however you need us to show up, please let us know. And also too, I want to give people more time to ask questions, because you know, Mr. Pyatt's not with us yet, but also, as you are the liaison for the LGBTQIA+ Commission, is there anything that you would like to share with us while you're here about the work, anything for this month or beyond this month, right? That you would like to share with us, that's happening, or you can share with us?
Sure. So they're very early stages, obviously, as they were just kind of created, but we have a really wonderful group of dedicated, committed, passionate people. Again, they're still working on, you know, bylaws, mission and vision statement, but they're doing a phenomenal job being thoughtful and mindful about how they put their founding documents together. One thing that we have talked about is equity as it relates to restrooms, which has been honestly, like, fight that people have been talking about in this city for quite some time. And so I appreciate how quickly they have addressed the issue. They have submitted a public statement to a CMU, or in support of a CMU student organization called TINA. And the mayor has also submitted a public statement to the county within the last month regarding the importance of providing restrooms for people of all gender identities. So if that's something that this commission would also be interested in doing, I can see if they're still accepting public statements, because I know that there's a meeting coming up and I think it's this month. If it has passed, I'll let you know, but if it hasn't, I'll send you the information, because as several commissioners have mentioned, that's a matter of that's just a human right. People having access to restrooms that they can actually use in public spaces. I know that was a large issue at the University of Pittsburgh when I was a student. I say when I was a student, like I was a student 5 years ago, last year. And it will remain an issue until proper facilities are built. So wonderful that one city commission has already spoke up in support of creating all gender restrooms, and then also the mayor has done the same. That is the largest thing that we've done so far, but we have a meeting tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone. Again, just a very, very bright group of people. And I'm sure your work will intersect in the future. And hopefully we can start to bridge and connect the two commissions, which is something that I've spoken to and knew about. She actually attended our last meeting. Was it the last meeting or the one before? Either way, she was wonderful. It was really amazing to have her participate and join us. She provided a lot of wonderful advice and support. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for the two commissions to work together to advance some similar goals.
Mhm.
So oh wait, it's June. Okay. Also, I have to mention next month is going to be my last month with the city. I'm going to be going to law school, so I will try to get you, thank you. I will try to figure out how we're going to transition, because that's important. I should probably try to figure out who you're going to be working with next. So,
Well, Jordan, two quick things. Yes, please let us know how we can support. Please let us know. In that vein, I know that about a year or so ago, the commission had explored equity and accessibility to menstrual health products. And that to me is very much related to even just facilities. And, you know, because we want to make sure they're in all gender facilities because of gender diversity, right? And so, and I know that commissioners in the past, in the recent past, have expressed a desire to find some way to move forward with that. And so I see this as an opportunity that if we are able to support this you know, equitable access to facilities, that we could perhaps, you know, also see about partnering on, you know, accessibility to these projects and moving this forward. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there in the atmosphere as something just to think about, to see if, you know, that could all maybe just be together or separate, you know, either way, it's important. And I just want to say congratulations. How
thank you.
awesome.
Thank
That's an
you.
awesome reason to lose you, because you're amazing. And we're going to miss you, but what an awesome reason. And we need more lawyers like Jordan Fields. So I'm grateful that you're going to be a part of the law profession. It makes me feel just a little better.
Thank you. I don't even want to start to say goodbye because I have a whole another month yet, but thank you.
So we do have you next month, or no?
Yes, July I'm
Great.
here. Yes.
Okay, we have you for another month. Awesome. Well, I'm going to step back. Jordan, do you mind if anyone has any additional questions for you? If we just ask you questions? Okay. Anybody have any questions for Jordan about anything that Jordan has brought up?
This is Janet. Jordan, I'm biased. I think employment law is, you know, fabulous. So if you want to focus, I'm just saying.
Thank you, Janet, for your outwardly biased opinion and comment. I always appreciate your candor. Right? We just be honest, right? Well, Mr. Pyatt, I don't think is able to join us, and it's okay. Things happen. This is what happens when you work as a part of an administration. So we are going to extend another invitation for him to join us again, because again, the work that he's doing is extremely important. And we want to know more about it. We want to ask him questions, and also we want the public to know more about it too. And so I don't believe, but I just want to quickly check in. Yes, Anu.
I just wanted to say that the training, I was losing electricity. So Jordan, you were on that. Were you on it? Dami was there. So Henry did at the last AEW training give an overview. They don't record them because they want people to feel comfortable asking questions. But I just wanted to say that if I may just ask Henry to tape something for 5 minutes so that we don't, you all get that information, because I think his overview would be really valuable to the commissioners. So I'll get something, and I'll get something. I can also, I've talked you through, but just the bottom line is the Financial Empowerment Center that Henry and the counselors are working on for all Pittsburghers. It's free one-on-one financial counseling, and they will start with you wherever you need to be. So it could be, oh, my credit report, or is lower than I need it to be. I don't know how to open a bank account. I want to start a small business. So it's really customized. It's a really great service. And I think I just want to make sure everyone knows about the Financial Empowerment Center. So I'll keep getting you information, keep putting it in the newsletters, because the most important thing is that Pittsburghers know that in addition to the Gender Equity Commission's workforce equity efforts, there is this service that's really meant to meet people where they are, which is, I think, an important part of equity. So I'll keep bringing that up. And I just want to say the Financial Empowerment Centers are just a really good thing in our city that I hope even more people get access to.
So thank you, Anu, for that update. Just a brief description on what it is and existing services that are available to people in Pittsburgh. I think it's important that the commissioners do get detailed information. Also, though, I know that commissioners may want to ask Henry questions. And so if Henry, if his schedule permits and he can come to a public meeting, great. If he can't and can only come to a working meeting, if he can only attend a workforce equity committee meeting, and that to me is like, I prefer all commissioners to have access to Henry and to hear from him. And so, and we're flexible though, is my point, that I think just getting the information, being able to engage with him and asking him questions is more important than anything. Obviously it's just another platform for him to share and for the public to hear, which is why I'm grateful to you for sharing, just the brief overview of what the financial empowerment centers are. And so our invitation continues to be open. We know he works hard and is doing great work. And we know his absence has nothing to do with him not being a hard worker and caring deeply about the work. Henry has a long history as a community worker, community activist, community facilitator. So I know where his heart and his passion lies. And so, to make that clear. And I know, Mr. Feiner, you did not mention this. I do not believe we have any public comments. Is that okay? Well, commissioners, anything that anyone would like to say or mention before we adjourn? Okay, well, do we have a motion to adjourn? Okay, Commissioner Hall, do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Emanuel, just barely beat Commissioner Hale to the second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everyone have a wonderful month. We all have our action plans and directives. Please enjoy the weather that we've been getting this, and thank you all for your continued service. I appreciate all of you. Have a great day. And thank you all for joining us in our virtual world on YouTube.
Thank you, commissioners. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.